Magician!
Hey YouTube, Dogmatician84 here. I don't know, I felt like doing a video talking about just how Yu-Gi-Oh's been this year, at least for me. Seems like a good time to do it, considering it's early December at the time of recording this, and it's just crazy that the year's almost over. Which is kind of a relief in a way, considering that for the most part it's been just shit. But I already talked about that in my rant video, and don't worry, there will be a video talking about what was good about this year, like as I always do. But yeah, I feel like things are starting to pick up. There's finally a moving date, so it won't be too long before me and Emma move into our own place. And of course we have our beautiful fur babies, Bertie and Socks. Those kittens just really warm my heart. It's a shame the wedding didn't happen this year. I mean, that was a New Year's resolution of mine, but obviously because of this house stuff, wedding plans have been put on hold. So fingers crossed and touch wood that the wedding happens next year. But anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, it's been quite eventful. I guess I'll try and go in chronological order. So yeah, came back to the minor league after quitting for the first time, half a month beforehand, due to unchilled decks being played. More specifically, Sky Strikers, Dinomorphia and True Draco. Where it's like, how is this chilled, and why are these decks being played in what's supposed to be a casual, chilled format? But yeah, some things were sorted, or at least attempted to be. So it was asked to not play unchilled decks, but then the problem was afterwards, other people then went on to play a bunch of unchilled decks, such as Invoked, Earth Machine, I guess. I don't know whether or not Earth Machine is chilled or unchilled, but yeah, Invoked definitely is. Yeah, ABCs, Altergeists, Zombie Horde, Gravekeepers. I think I said, did I say Cosmo? If I didn't, then yeah, Cosmo. Followed by plans for Trickstars and Monarchs to be played, but it's like, again, how are any of these chilled? Like, they're really not. Like, they just do too much to basically not let the opponent play. And it was like, well, if I wanted to play against unchilled decks, I might as well have played in the normal tournaments. And I stopped playing in those to specifically get away from unchilled decks. which led to some issues later on, which I'll get to. Um, and in a bid to try and deal with Ash Blossom, we tried to put Caught by the Grave to free, but that ended up being a big mistake. I mean, yes, it guarantees more ways to stop Ash Blossom, but then it just caused a whole bunch of other problems, including boss monsters getting banished. And I was like, yeah, I regret my decision to suggest this. So we put it back to 1. It was something that I just didn't think through after the September 2020 list, when Caught by went to 1 and I was annoyed about it and I wanted it to go back to 3. But the issues that came up just never occurred to me. But what can I say? Sometimes I think there are ideas I think of, but then don't completely think them through. I mean, I'd like to think I got better after that, but in this case, there was lots of instant regret. So from that point on, I thought, well, instead of use Caught by the Grave and cross out Designator, I'll just use Prohibition instead. Which is something I consider just maining and everything. If I was still playing current format and just wanted to specifically stop Ash Blossom, I mean, sure, they could use some singular back row removal on it, but then again, that would be a waste of back row removal, and then it draws attention away from other back row I might have. Although, this logic doesn't really work when it comes to things like Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm, but still. Despite this, things did pick up. I managed to gain some success earlier this year and win back-to-back minor league tournaments, or rather tie with some others. One of which was with my 54 card Dark Magician deck. So I managed to beat 2 people with it. I think one of them was Harrison, the other one might have been Jack. I know Harrison was on... I think Harrison was on Chaos Max, I'm not sure. It's been so long now. I don't remember... Oh wait, I think Jack might have been playing Necros. I was able to win against them, which I was just genuinely shocked. I mean, you would think that 54 card decks would be really inconsistent to give me bad draws, but no, that's not the case. I mean, the consistency that Dark Magician has anyway just helped a lot, and it wasn't an issue. And then, of course, I did lose one match, which was against Kai, although somehow we ended up with a 4-way tie of me, Kai, Jack and Harrison. We somehow managed to get the exact same score. I don't know how the hell that even works, but it's like, hey, a win's a win. And then the following week, I got that joint win with John, with my Elemental Heroes, facing 3 tough decks in a row. Fluffles, Machine OTK, and then there was Invoked Mech Knight, where me and John got a draw. But then afterwards, I ended up quitting the minor league again, well, for a number of reasons, and also ended up quitting current format Yu-Gi-Oh! Altogether. Well, there was a number of reasons behind it. Just too many OTK decks were being played, plus there were a few too many arguments over negates and OTK decks, followed by the fact that the game I love just got way too competitive. I mean, I know I've already talked about it before, but it's true. Like, it's just way too competitive. It's just become too much about playing to not let the opponent play. Just too many players just play some sort of OTK or lockdown deck and run fucking Ash, Droll and D-Shifter in almost absolutely everything, and it just makes the game annoying, boring and stagnant. It's just so shit. And I just couldn't put up with it anymore. So I stopped that, even though I kept getting roped back into playing some current format games after that, which I wasn't happy about. I mean, like I said, I can play normal current format games, but I really don't want to. It's just annoying getting roped back into it. So it's almost like my decision isn't being respected in a way. So this ended up bringing me to make Richishan format a thing. Now, there is a misconception about Richishan format where people think I created it in February, but that's not entirely true. Alright, yes, I did make it an official thing in February, but I actually thought of the idea actually round about this time last year, actually. In fact, I kind of got some inspiration from the minor league. And I couldn't help but think, wait, I should just create a fun casual format as well. I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. And I guess I was more encouraged by the fact that some unchilled decks were being played, and I was thinking, how is this chilled? And I actually gave it a test trial run during Series 9 of the Dark Richishan's Deck Grand Championship, and it seemed to work out really well. And of course, in February, I decided to make it an official thing and tell my friends about it. Not everyone jumped aboard this idea, but enough people got interested in the idea, and I just made it a thing. With the added twist of making the extra deck limit 20 instead of 15, and allowing the turn player who goes first to draw. With a 5-card increase, it just gives certain decks more options to work with, like elemental heroes, for instance. I mean, that's something I've said in my videos time and time again, is that there's just not enough space, and with more support that comes out and additional forms of extra summoning that we've gotten over the last 16 years, it just gets harder and harder for certain decks to fit in everything that the card holder wants to fit in. So I figured, well, surely 20 won't hurt. Obviously, I wouldn't have ever gone beyond 20. I know there are powerful extra deck monsters out there, and there has to be some kind of limit or restriction, but I feel like 20 was fine. And of course I wanted to bring back the rule where whoever goes first can draw, like I said, just like how it was before pendulums came into the game. And I still just don't agree with Konami's decision to get rid of the rule where whoever goes first can draw. So I think it's a stupid change. I know it. I know it can keep like some sort of OTK or lockdown deck in check, but it didn't really do anything. Considering that going first ends up being ridiculously strong anyway. So one card just doesn't make much difference in that aspect. So yeah, I brought it back. I created my own ban list and just basically tried to make the game actually fun again and purge all the degenerate bullshit, and try and slow it down as much as possible. There are still decks in the format that can make crazy plays, but it's nothing as bad as anything that Meta can do. But then, of course, with creating this format, Express Gaming and Matt and Alison Welch then decided to copy me, basically, and make their own formats, which is not a trend that I wanted to start, really. I mean, it's nice that people want to play casual formats and even make their own, but it's just something I'm not too sure about, because with all these different casual formats, it can get a bit confusing regarding ban lists and can make it hard to keep track of what's been hit and what hasn't in which format, which was something I'd wanted to avoid. I mean, nevertheless, though, I think these casual formats are still a lot better than the bullshit that's the normal current format. Of course, despite doing this, though, I did end up coming back to the minor league again, because I couldn't help but think maybe I was a bit hasty quitting. So I decided to give it another chance, and then just decide, well, if there is anything that's just a bit too much, I'll just try and get it banned, with one step at a time. But it was fun while it lasted, and despite the downsides that happened, it has been good fun. Um, yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed coming down every Monday night to play it. And of course, I wanted to play every single deck I have in the minor league just to see how they get on, and then I wanted to get some more wins under my belt. With Rainbow Neos, Magician Girls, Melfies, Cats. What did I say? Rainbow Neos, Magician Girl. Yeah, I think I said Nouvelle. Melfi and Cats. Yeah, those decks. Hasn't been easy though. I almost managed it with Rainbow Neos, Magician Girls, and Nouvelle at one point, but just fell one short. Same with Melfi's actually. I'd either be finishing second or third. Although I did get another win under my belt, which was a genuine win, but it wasn't with my deck. It was with one of Gel's, because we had what was called the Geller Gauntlet, where we were all playing Kel's weakest decks, and we were given to them at random, and I got landed with Roids. I was like, okay, fair enough, I can work with this. I mean, I was hoping for something like Destiny Heroes, Magician Girls, or Ojamas, because I know what to do with those decks. Oh yeah, and Elemental Heroes, but Harrison got the Elemental Heroes, and like I said, I got the Roids, and that was the first time I'd ever physically played with a Roid deck. But I remembered what pretty much all of them do, so luckily I did know what I was doing, and it also helped that there were random gadget monsters in there as well, which was quite funny. Plus Utopia and Utopia the Lightning, much to John's dismay. I mean, it was true that I did keep going for Utopia the Lightning, but it's like, well, I kind of had to, especially since my opponents kept setting face downs on the back row, and it could have been something like Mirror Force or Magic Cylinder for all I knew, and Utopia the Lightning is always a safe bet. I mean, and like I said before, I did try to go for the fusions. I mean, I wanted to bring the fusions out, but but it never came except in the last match against Harrison when I brought out, I think it was Ambulance Rescue Boys. That was the one and only fusion I did. So it was kind of disappointing that I only got off one fusion, but hey, at least I did get one off. And yeah, I was just, and yeah, I managed to overcome everyone. Yeah, I felt bad for Jack though, because he got ignites and just wasn't drawing the right cards and kept getting a brick. John, of course, was the most challenging opponent with Skull Servant / Discard deck. So, I mean, Draconecro and Eater of Millions were scary, I'll say that. They did give me some trouble, but other than that, I was able to push through. It was worrying going up against Harrison with Elemental Heroes, because, well, statistically, Elemental Heroes are just better than Roids. Like definitely. I mean, even though it was a very casual build, but yeah, I was able to just push through, and I managed to get a win, and a genuine win where I didn't tie with anyone. So yeah, that was incredible. That was one of the highlights. I think I'll bring it up again when I bring up what was good about this year. Um, and then, of course, I went back to the goal. Um, although things got annoying, like near the end of my run, I just had really bad runs with Rainbow Neos. Just making a huge misplay against Melodious and losing, and then lost against Invoked Shaddoll and Ancient Gear. I mean, even though Winder's banned in the minor league, and I was able to stop Mechaba coming out, I still lost that horribly. And this was partially due to bricks as well. Yeah, I kept drawing Neos and Rainbow Dragon like in the first two rounds, which wasn't good. Then again, things would have been better if I hadn't misplayed against Melodious. I was trying to remember what it was, but I think it was because I forgot that Neos Fusion was in the grave, and I didn't use it to protect Rainbow Neos from being destroyed by something. That was kind of annoying, because considering that Melodious is a deck that Rainbow Neos should be able to beat quite easily. And then I lost horribly against Kel's Ancient Gears, which was the only time I ever lost to Kel. I mean, I'd like to think that that was a great achievement for him, but at the same time, it was like, that was just so annoying, losing to a deck that I don't like playing against. So I tried to get Redemption the following week. That didn't happen. So I suppose it was better. I mean, I got a draw against John, who was playing Memento this time. And then I lost against Dragon Maids, played by Jack, all because of fucking Dragon Maid Show, plus that trap that bounces a monster. It wasn't Compulse, it was something else. I forget what it was, but yeah, that was an annoying struggle. And then I got a bye. Yeah, I really, really hate getting the bye. It was like, oh, come on. I wanted to play someone. I mean, yeah, a bye is still a win, but like I said before, it doesn't mean anything. Plus, I don't get to play someone. I wanted to play someone and try and get a win so I can just salvage something out of this, but not quite. And then, interestingly, my Melfi's did better the following week, getting a win over Cosmo, even though it was through end of match procedure. Then I lost again against Dragon Maids, and then just about beat Salads. Then, of course, Monarch Gate happened. I mean, the incident where 3 people just antagonised me for hating monarchs, like, even though I didn't even instigate the topic of monarchs. I'm not going to go over it again. But yeah, it was just bullshit, and just the whole thing, of course, just got me really annoyed and pissed off and upset that I just ended up quitting for good. Um, and I've not been back there since. Oh. And then, of course, a fourth person decided to be a dick to me as well. I don't know if I want to talk about that, but yeah. Yeah, those four people were just absolute dicks to me, and I've just not been wanting to be in the same room as them. It's crazy that that was half a year ago. It's a shame that this even happened, and I just feel bad for everyone else because I never ever wanted anything like this to happen. But it did. Things just got out of hand. And it was a shame, and I did have plans of a future minor league tournaments, because, well, I did kind of already go over this in one of last week's What If Wednesday episodes, what if I never quit the minor league, but I'll try and summarise it, because I had a plan to once again bring back Rainbow Neos and get redemption with that, and just try and win more than one game. Like at least 2 would have been fine, but 3 would have been great. And then, of course, I was going to bring in Full Power Nouvelle and see how that deck got on. And then, of course, I'd bring Dark Magician back for the first time in 3 months and just play in that again, see how I get on. And also bring back my Magician of Chaos deck and try and win more than one match with that. And have rematches with James and Reese. Assuming James would bring in Ignistas, even though the Arrival had been banned, because I would have liked to, properly beat those, and get revenge against the Gravekeepers. I had a plan to basically use Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell to just turn off Necro Valley, should the Gravekeeper matchup happen again. But yeah, none of that's going to happen now. And like I said, to be fair, because I'm going to be moving away, I would have had to quit anyway. And I almost forgot to mention about Common Charity. That was something I started playing in, and I used Melfi's for that. Only played in 3 of those, and did well in most of them, I think. I'm trying to remember the matchups from the very first one. Oh wait, I don't think I did that well in the first one. It was just insane that in all 3 Common Charity events that I played in, my first round matchup was a Cyber Dragon deck. How does this even happen? So I beat 2 of them and lost against one of them. One was used by Tom. Then the other one was used by Sean. He was the one who beat me, and the other one was used by George. I'll come back to that tournament in a moment. And yeah, the first one I lost against Jude with near enough the same deck as me, but he was playing Naturias in there as well, and Sunflower gave me some problems. And then I faced Steve, who was playing Goki. And speaking of Goki, I ended up playing against Goki again in the following one. And it's like, why am I getting almost the same matchups? But this time, Sparkman was playing that, and this time I managed to get a win over it, and then had a very good close match with Giorgio, playing Gradle Kaiju. Boy, that was a struggle, but at least I was able to take it to a third game. But the last common charity tournament I played in was where I had the more success. Like I said, I defeated George's Cyber Dragons, and that was the first time I ever won against him. Then I faced Jude again and drew against him. Yeah, that match took so long. Which is pretty standard for a Melfi mirror match. It's just so awkward and complicated at times that it requires the full attention of both players. Although it was quite annoying that there were a couple of times where people tried to get Jude's attention. But yeah, I was really trying to defeat him once and for all, but then there was a point where I just messed up at the end of game one, and because I could have done something to stop his Melfis attacking me directly, and somewhere along the way I just completely messed up. I was so annoyed and upset in that moment. I was like, oh no, that's going to cost me the whole match. But thankfully it didn't, as time was called during game two, and I ended up with more life points than him, so the match was a draw. Okay, so it's not an official win over Jude, but I'll still take it. So that was another fine achievement in itself, at least taking game two. And then I managed to beat Tom's Bee Troopers. So yeah, I got a tournament win with Melfis. So yeah, that was just fantastic. Another highlight of the year. Yeah, I was going to build a couple of other common charity decks as well. I was planning to make common charity versions of my three favourite decks, Dark Magician, Elemental Heroes and Rainbow Neos, but after Monarch Gate, that didn't happen. Then again, I wasn't too sure about it anyway, because, well, like I said, I keep saying I don't want to build or rebuild any more decks, because, you know, the initial plan was to have my Melfis be my common charity deck. Whether or not I'll play in any others, like as another location, I don't know. I mean, there could be a possibility, just sidestepping a minute, the question has been brought up about whether or not there'll be a locals I can go to once I've moved. Well, there's like one or two possible places I could go, but you know, it would require travelling by train or bus to get there, which wouldn't be ideal, considering like buses like don't always show up when they're supposed to, and then there's the bullshit that goes on with trains, like whether it's train strikes or just engineering work or trains just randomly being cancelled. I mean, what I vowed that once I'd moved, I just want to never travel by train again for as long as I live, unless, of course, the strikes actually come to an end once and for all. I was hoping that would have been the case this year, but not quite. But anyway, depending on whether they hold events that are not normal tournaments, it is a possibility participating, perhaps, if I wanted to do common charity again, but I just don't know. Plus, it depends if I'd even want to go, because as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to play the current format anymore, and it would depend whether or not other people would be interested in Rhitushan formats. And going back to that, I mean, after just the drama that went on, like, at the end of May and early June, plus some other disagreements regarding certain cards and certain decks, I was considering just scrapping Rhitushan format altogether, because I couldn't help but feel like all these casual formats do is just cause problems and arguments. I didn't, though, especially considering that Emma and Matt and Alison Welch both strongly expressed that they absolutely love my format and prefer it over the normal current format. So yeah, Rhitushan format stays. I'm keeping it around just for you guys. What else has happened? Oh yeah, I did of course end up coming back to DU. To be honest, I ended up just getting bored every evening with just nothing to do. So, well, apart from the times where I'd have online games with Matt and Alison Welch, Gunner, Wyvern Watch, and of course go over to Express Gaming's place to duel him and Gamer Central. But yeah, despite my reasons for stopping going there, DU that is, I ended up coming back. As I did miss the people there, and I thought maybe there'd be some people I could get interested in Rhitushan format, like George and Cal, but George hasn't been down there in ages. I mean, Cal was, though, and he was all on board for it. Well, kind of. Even though I feel like he does still prefer current format. And then, of course, later on, Dave came back, and we've had some Goat and Edison games. Which was nice. there were some evenings that were uneventful. It was like I'd only have one game, plus there'd be another evening where I just didn't get to duel anyone, and it's like it just wasn't worth me coming down. Like I felt like I'd just wasted train ticket money and entry money. Um, but yeah, this gave me an excuse to just come back there again. Some Royal Rumbles that did happen as well, not as frequently as I'd like. And they were under the current format, which I didn't mind. But yeah, it's just a shame that they didn't happen very frequently. Plus, things just weren't the same, without George or Brian. Brian does still show up there, but he's just only interested in playing Magic. That's another downside. Several of the players who were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Before either just seem more interested in playing Magic the Gathering or Digimon. Traitors. Yeah, it's understandable why Yu-Gi-Oh! Wouldn't appeal to them. Yeah, there was even a point where I just wasn't sure about going again, because I felt like I kept getting roped into current format games too often, along with the fact that one of the people who had annoyed me before was complaining about me using Zeus, of all things. Yeah, this was the same person who last year just complained about my favourite 3 decks, yet was playing Dark World, Trap Tricks, and Mutants, all of which are fucking toxic. Not so much in my format, considering Mutants are banned in my format and Trap Tricks and Dark World are nerfed, but still. And then recently, like, he was playing Mutants plus an OTK version of Chronomalies, and he was complaining about me using a Zeus, even though it had no materials afterwards. I mean, really? Alright, I know Zeus can be annoying, and I know it can cause an issue here and there, but there's much worse cards in the game than a Zeus. Plus, I hardly ever play it in anything. I mean, excuse me, it's literally just my cats and my Melfies that I play it in. I mean, there are decks on Edo, other decks that I play it in on Edo Pro, but in terms of real life decks, they're the only 2 I have it in, so it's not like I play it all the time. And even when I do use it, I always fire off the effect right away. And it always ends up with either just one material or no material. So once I've field wiped, it's just a 3k beat stick that's easy to get rid of. Yeah, that just really annoyed me. That being said, I am... well, I don't know when this video is going back, but because I'm recording this on the night before I go to DU, and it will be for the last time, well, at least until I can get the time to come down and visit, but But yeah, I thought, why not go just once more before moving away? It makes sense too. Um, and then there was the point where just recently, like I kind of didn't want to play anymore, except unless it was under my format, past format, and games involving character decks and stuff. Just due to all the bullshit that was just getting me down. But I didn't, of course. I still played other games, one under Express Gaming format, one normal current format game, and one M&A format game. I guess there's just no escaping those. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, those other two casual formats are still better than current format. But I feel like if there really is no escape from current format, I'm gonna have to set some ground rules on, no, or there's going to have to be some sort of gentleman's agreement that'll have to be made on what we play and don't play against each other. Yeah, that's that. Oh, and going back to Gunnar, I played against him for the first time ever, like earlier this year. It was something that was a long time coming. So, yeah, we played a few different formats, yeah, which has been a blast. I feel like once I've moved, there might have to be a change in schedule regarding who I play online, depending. But I'll try and keep it the same if I can. Obviously the Wi-Fi will need sorting out. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, Yu-Gi-Oh's been bleak, but there have been like a lot of notable great things regarding Yu-Gi-Oh, which of course I've gone over. I guess the other bleak things, which doesn't really concern me, is the fact that lots of competitive players have just been quitting, mainly over prize support at big events, but also because of how shit the formats have been. Mind you, the last ban list that we got was kind of good for what it was, even though there were things about it that I just don't agree with at all, like putting Colossus at 2 and unbanning that grass is greener. I think those were big mistakes. But now it makes me wonder what the odds are that on the next list, Nemesis Corridor is going to get banned, because that card, of course, is a way to cheat out Colossus. So, yeah, I don't know when we're going to get another ban list, but I'm predicting that Nemesis Corridor is going to end up getting banned, which and Colossus would be back at 3, which would be really shit, I think. I mean, Colossus is just so fucking obnoxious and toxic, and it should never have been unbanned. In fact, it should never have been made in the first place. I mean, that card by itself just made everyone hate the whole archetype. I mean, it ruined a classic card, the classic card being Thunder Dragon, and of course nobody plays twin-headed Thunder Dragon anymore. Alright, yeah, it's a vanilla fusion with no effect, but it's still a classic card, and it's just a shame that it doesn't see play. But anyway, but yeah, Corridor banned and Colossus at 3 is something I'm predicting for the next ban list, although, but then that's just going to be punishing a whole archetype. Then again, I can't think of anyone who's ever played a pure Nemesis deck. I mean, I've never looked it up, but yeah, that's just gonna punish the archetype for a crime it didn't really commit. In a, well, sort of. Unless someone does play a pure Nemesis deck and they just happen to have Colossus. But yeah, what would be better is if Colossus was re-banned. Not that any of this really concerns me, considering I don't play the current format, or at least prefer not to. But I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't concern me that much, because I don't have much faith in Konami when it comes to ban lists and fixing the games, and I guess that's why players take matters into their own hands and create their own casual formats, and I just like, you know what? Fuck the current format, it's too competitive, let's create our own formats. And I think that's usually the general motivation behind it and why people do it, you know, just to specifically get away from the meta and, you know, play more casual and creative decks. Yeah, that's one way of doing it, like outside of playing pass format. But yeah, is that everything? Maybe. I mean, from what I've heard, price support at these major events has apparently improved. So, so I guess at least Konami do listen to the player base. Well, sometimes. It's just a shame that, like, you know, when it comes to ban lists and errataing certain cards, they don't always give us what we want. It's like, okay, they either don't listen or they only do listen when they want to. You know, that's the impression I get. And yeah, I think that's everything. Just covered in just about an hour. Sorry this was a ridiculously long video. I didn't plan for it to be about an hour long, but there we are. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Don't know how you guys have felt about Yu-Gi-Oh! This year. But yeah, that's basically it. So thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Magician YouTube channel.